558% jump in women getting into strength training. Why should women strength train?
If we do not preserve and improve our muscle mass, aging is just going to become harder. From thyroid to estrogen to progesterone to insulin resistance, for everything you need more muscle.
After a point, weight training is more for the mind than for the body.
Your cycle can just become so much more better by including strength training. After your menstrual cycle, this is a great time to start picking up moderate to heavy weights. Your time starts now.
One of the topics that deserve a lot of attention, and I was reading a statistic that says about 558% jump in women getting into strength training. But if you just look back, go back a few years, actually many years, the obsession was around getting skinny, doing endless cardio and at-home workouts where you're just moving for the heck of moving. And then the shift around over the last decade, 558% jump in women getting into strength training.
Yeah.
I know this data is coming from US, but I've also personally seen women prioritizing weight training at Cult, and you were doing a lot of work through My Third Space and your personal training people, mentoring them and things like that. You're also doing a lot of work in getting women into strength training. So I'm sure you've seen the trend shift in India. So wanted to pick your brains on that topic.
Strength training for women. I think the fact that you just said 558% jump in the last decade is phenomenal right there. I'm sure I contribute to that percentage myself, because my journey into strength training, very briefly, I'll just mention that because I feel like it's important. It was because of overdoing cardio, right? Like I would probably not have taken up strength training if I hadn't overdone my cardio and then injured myself, which created a setback of like 6 months of like doing nothing. So, I mean, I'm not going to go into what injury and stuff, but I did hurt myself and I was skinny and I loved being skinny. That phase of my life when I did a lot of cardio mindlessly also was a part of my job. So I can't complain much because I was, doing a lot of dance fitness, dance cardio and things like that. But when I started doing strength training, which is more than a decade now that I got introduced to strength training myself, I absolutely loved it. And there was no looking back. Then I knew that I wanted to go deep into it, build more muscle, be stronger, because it just gave you so many benefits.
Correct. On that note, I just wanted to understand, why should women strength train? Like, what are the basics of it? Why should they get into strength training?
Yeah. Okay. So we'll quickly just touch upon a few points on why, and then we'll go into breaking down a little bit on, other things like age specific and, cycle and all of that, right? First and foremost, let's talk muscle. We all have a lot of muscle. Now, it will start dropping as early as 30 years, right? Maybe 30 to 40 will drop about 3 to say 5%. Then it's like 5 to 8%. Decade after decade, it's just going to keep going up, 8 to 12%. If we do not preserve and improve our muscle mass, aging is just going to become harder. Right? Like we always say, muscle is the only age reversible organ in the body. Everything goes downhill the moment you start losing muscle mass.
Yeah.
So you want to preserve that muscle that you have already in your body. If possible, improve it.
Correct.
Right? For, of course, better metabolic health, for better hormonal balance, from thyroid to estrogen to progesterone to insulin resistance, for everything you need more muscle, right? Then you have bone. Now your bone mass or your bone density is also going to reduce as you age. Then after 50, it just gets even worse, and risks of falling and hurting yourself, fractures just increase.
Yeah.
Now, when you strength train, more muscle, more bone mass, better bone density, lesser risk of injuries and falls.
Correct.
Right? And like your osteoporosis, you can save yourself from, things like osteoporosis, osteopenia, which again, like sarcopenia, muscle loss, is quite inevitable as you age.
Yes.
Now, if you want to save yourself from all of these, you have to strength train. It's literally non-negotiable. And I think I see my mom today deteriorating year after year, decade after decade, no strength, no, muscle loss, bone loss, all of it. And one wish is like, I wish I could do something for her sooner. And I couldn't. Like, your mom strength trains almost every day, and we see her quality of life is so much better, right? My mom's quality of life is very bad. And I think one of the reasons is I couldn't get her into strength training at the right time. So, okay, then we spoke about muscle, we spoke about bone, we spoke about, of course, hormonal balance, metabolic health, just your cycle, right? Your cycle can just become so much more better, lesser cramps. This is personal experience, right? By including strength training. But you also need to know how to cycle sync your training, which becomes important. And then last but not least, just your mood, your mental health. Again, personally, it's helped me tremendously in improving my mental health ever since I've added strength training. Just my confidence of this person I was becoming was so much more since I've introduced strength training. Like where I come from, how I have been raised, it's all been great. But I know I'm confidently walking without heels ever since I have physically become stronger. Otherwise, I was always very conscious about, oh my God, I'm so short. I found the need to always feel taller to be more confident. And the only way to do that was wear heels. But ever since physically I've become stronger, it's made me mentally stronger. So I feel like that aspect is so important for women, especially in a country like ours.
I agree. I think after a point, weight training is like more for the mind than for the body. Of course, it has like
100%.
numerous benefits for the body, but it's also a lot of cognitive and mental health
Correct.
benefits. You spoke about cycle sync your training. I think that's a very important point. I'm pretty sure most women out there don't know about it.
Yeah.
So we will come back to it and we will talk about it in details in some time. But I think before we get to that kind of details, if you can just simplify this for our viewers in
Yeah.
terms of how to strength train. Should they be doing, for example, single muscle group per day, like people typically would do in a gym, like a chest day, like a leg day, like an arms day? Should they be doing that, or should they be doing more full body? So if you can just simplify that for the viewers, I
Yeah.
think that will be very helpful.
Yeah. I think to start with, you got to do your basics right? Strength training, the movements can be simple, you're squatting and deadlifting and those kind of things, but your form and technique needs to be spot on to avoid any injuries, right? You'll never see those injuries initially, but as you start loading, they will show up. So first is get your basics right. Train with a coach or go to the right kind of place where your form is going to be given a lot of priority to. So get your foundation, get your basic right. Then learn how to progressively overload. Take your time, right? Take 2 months, take 3 months, take 6 months. It's okay to go slow because you're in this for the long term, right? So then you progressively overload because you can't stay with the same weight forever, right? Then it's also how your programming is done. It's not just about squatting and deadlifting and pressing overhead and some amount of cardio, some amount of core. Are you training unilateral? Are we doing single hand, single leg, that unilateral training? Are you training in different planes of motion? There's hinging, there's lateral work, there's rotational work, right? Different planes of motion. These things also become very critical.
Yes.
So your programming is very, very important if you want to, again, keep getting better at it. Then, like you said about upper body, lower body, I think that will really depend on how much time each person can provide for their strength training. If you're somebody who can do just like thrice a week, right, then I would also break it down into 1 day of maybe push, 1 day of maybe pull, 1 day of maybe legs, right? Or if you only have 2 days and you have break between those 2 days, then you can both the days do a full body and a full body, or maybe an upper body and a lower body,
Yeah.
right? So I think how you plan will really be subject to how much time you have and how many days are you willing to do strength training. But it'll be great if you can start with minimum 2 or even 3, and then over the years start giving more focus or more time to strength training as
Yeah.
well. And then, yeah, I think another important thing, like we just spoke about, cycle syncing also becomes quite critical.
I agree. I think that I want to discuss that with you in detail.
Yeah.
Can you just like put it together on a sheet?
Yeah.
And for someone who wants to train or who has the time to train only twice a week, or for
Okay.
someone who has 3 times, what should the training split for them
Be.
look like, with at least some sample movements that they can do? I
Yes.
think that will be a good place for them
Yes.
to start.
Yes.
So if you can put that together, we will put it down in the description that can be downloaded. And I think it's going to be pretty helpful
Yeah.
and a really good start for
Especially for people who are starting. And
Yes.
even if you're quite seasoned, let's say 1 year, 2 years into it, it'll still help you to kind of reorganize your
Yes.
strength training.
Yes,
you know,
exactly. A
background.
good plan is always helpful. And, people always, they slip back in their training journey. So if there's someone who's trained before, been training for a long time, but has
Yeah.
slipped back in the training journey, or used to train 5 days a week, but now only has the time
Correct.
twice in a week, I think this template.
Done.
help.
We'll do that cheat sheet. Yes.
One more thing that I wanted to talk to you about is I see this crazy obsession of doing cardio amongst women. And I do understand the reasons for it, because cardio just makes you feel like you've done a good workout, you sweat a lot, you feel really happy after the workout.
Yeah.
So there is that feeling of having done good amount of work at the gym
Yeah.
with cardio, which you probably may not get with just a pure weight training hypertrophy kind of a
Correct.
session. What is your point of view? Should women be doing that much cardio? If yes,
Yeah.
how can they go about it? If should they not be doing that much cardio? If that is the answer, then what can they do? Because not doing cardio, I'm pretty sure, is not the right thing to do.
It's not
also.
the right thing, of course. Yeah, we all need to do cardio primarily for heart health, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, better lung functionality, efficiency, heart health, and all of that. Yes, we need to do cardio. No, we don't need to overdo the cardio or even do it every day. Okay, I have been a dance fitness, instructor and all of that. So I did excessive amount of cardio. My body could handle it. There was a phase that it couldn't handle it, and I fixed it. And with the right amount of strength training, I was able to still do 2-3 sessions of cardio a day, like coach classes a day. And I'm still okay. And I know even today at 45, if I have to do 1 or 2 sessions of dance fitness every single day, which is about 45 to 50 minutes, I'll be okay without an injury because I have built that muscle in my body, right? And my joints are stronger. But if not, then it's dangerous. So yeah, coming to how much cardio, again, it can be age specific, but if you can do like 2 or 3 times a week of a good session, like 30, 40, maximum 60 minutes also, if you're like going for a long run or a 10K only, is more than enough. We don't need to hit cardio or conditioning every single day. So how I do my training even today is I do like a 3-day, my strength training happens like 4 days a week. My cardio happens twice a week. Very good week. If I feel like well rested, then I even push it 3 times.
Okay.
Because I also like to run and probably do 1 outdoor run.
Yeah.
But typically, if you're doing 2 days a week of a good session, like it could be an HIIT circuit, or it could be a run, it could be whatever the kind of cardio you like, is good enough. And the rest of the time you spend strength training, it can do wonders from a fat burn point of view, from building muscle point of view, from feel good factor, all of it. Yeah, you don't need excess cardio to burn fat. You need enough resistance training to burn
Correct. Because if you have enough muscle, you will be
burning
more calories even when you are resting and not working out at the gym.
Yeah,
so
exactly. When we do a lot of cardio, you're burning a lot of calories at that moment.
Yeah.
But epoch or the post burn is a lot lesser, right? But in weight training, your post burn is excessive, or up to 36 hours, we can keep burning energy.
Correct.
So, which means we're burning calories. Yeah.
Understood. So, and now let's come to, what you spoke about, cycle sync your training, since you just mentioned that 3 or 4 sessions of strength training
Yeah.
per week, and like week over week, it's not going to be very straightforward for women. For men, it's just pretty simple. I
Yeah.
can, if I have to create a template for men,
Correct.
I'll just say progressively overload, do this week over week, and there is no other complication.
Yeah.
But for women, it's very different because of the menstrual cycles. So
Correct.
how would you suggest that women plan their training,
Yes.
intensity, volume, and any other variable through different weeks in a month?
Yeah. So I also, before I get to that, I also want to mention that I haven't really cycle synced my training for many years. It's only in the last few years that I've really focused on cycle syncing, because of my job, right? Because you're coaching, you're physically active when you're teaching dance fitness. So I would just do it every day, irrespective of whether it was my luteal phase or menstrual phase or ovulatory phase, whatever phase it was. Having said that, cycle syncing right from the beginning can do wonders for you, because our hormones are our superpower. And if we can sync everything as per our estrogen, progesterone, testosterone drop and rise, we can really gain from it, from a muscle building standpoint, from everything, right? So here's how we'll again do a cheat sheet for this. We'll provide detailed information on breakup of each cycle.
Yeah.
Now, when in your menstrual phase, your body is fully down, like there's no energy because there's a full dip of estrogen, right? So that's the time you either want to just take it very easy by doing a lot of walks, right? But if you're someone who loves to hit the gym, then just do extremely light weights, right?
Okay.
Do light weights, do a lot of walking, maybe just some easy cycling, things like that. Just allow the body to put all the effort in just your periods or your menstrual phase, because the body is doing a lot of work at that point, right? And don't take away the energy elsewhere.
Got it.
Right? This is how I would treat it. After your menstrual cycle, now your energy is rising. Your follicular phase, right? Your estrogen is starting to rise. This is a great time to start picking up moderate to heavy weights.
Okay.
Right? You don't have to go super heavy, but moderate to heavy weights, it's a great phase. You can do a lot of your HIIT training, some amount of conditioning work, even if you want to do it like 3 times a week, 4 times a week. This is a great time. That's your follicular phase, right? So the volume can go up, the intensity can go up. Then we move into ovulatory phase, which is also phenomenal in terms of performance, right? This is where you are at your strongest, you can say. So if you want to go super heavy, if you want to hit like your PRs, identify what like your deadlift PR is or squat PR is, or go all in, this should be the phase. Do plyometric training, like all of those high intensity trainings. This is the right time to go all in. Basically push your limit.
Got it.
Right? I mean, personally, it would be a dream if I'm doing a competition. If the competition date falls on my ovulatory phase, I feel like I will ace it. And I think a lot of other people or athletes also feel the same. You can't do much about it. It's how your body is just going to, go through the cycle. But ovulatory phase will be the best phase for anyone to do their best performance, right? Then you have the luteal phase, which is again a slight dip in estrogen will start for your menstrual, right? So this is the phase that mentally you're not in a great place, because your moods are all going to start crashing because of estrogen crashing, but you still can push yourself to come into the gym, pick up some moderate weight, do some work, because that will give you a little bit of an adrenaline pump to go through your day, because generally luteal phase is low for everybody, right? But it doesn't mean that that's where you stop training. You don't. This is where you really fight with your mind and push yourself and say, no, I have to train because I need to feel good, and training is going to make me feel good, right? So go easy, choose moderate weights, choose light weights, but show up at the gym for your mind.
Understood. So I think week over week, you've like broken it down beautifully.
Yeah.
And one more important thing would be for women to track their cycles.
Yes.
So that they know when to do what
Yeah.
you just mentioned with respect to training. Again, it's
Yes.
going to be very helpful if this can be documented and
Yeah.
we, make it available for people to download. I think that's
Yes.
going to be very helpful for our
Yeah,
viewers.
but thanks for mentioning the tracking part. I think a lot of our women still don't track. And it honestly just takes like 2-3 months of tracking using an app, which now there are amazing apps and for tracking your cycle. Once you've done it for like 2-3 months, you automatically know,
Yes.
when, what date to what date is your follicular, ovulatory, luteal, etc. So I would urge everyone to actually
Yeah.
start using an app, track their cycle, and then sync the training accordingly.
Yeah, I think tracking in itself is a very powerful tool.
Correct.
Like when I don't log my meals entire all year round, but I do make sure that there is, let's say, a 2 weeks period in between or a 6 week period in between every year
Yeah.
when I am diligently logging my meals and looking at that data end of the day. I think it just teaches me so much about
So
my
true.
own body. It also teaches me so much about my own behaviors and habits, and then I can actually
Exactly.
do something about it rather than just hitting in the dark. So
Correct.
tracking itself makes everything else very possible.
Yeah, fully agree with you. I've done tracking. Like you said, I still do it on and off when I feel like something is off. My body is, you know, especially in my 40s, suddenly you gain weight, suddenly you are, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
But tracking can do wonders.
Okay. Amazing. Should this differ by age? So,
Yeah.
for a woman in her 20s, should the training look different versus someone in her 40s and so on?
Basically, we can say that 20 to 40 can be almost similar in terms of training, right? But if someone is starting as early as like 20, 21, 22, which is phenomenal, the focus first should be on just building habit, right? Build a habit, start picking up activities that you enjoy doing, play a sport, and pick up weight training or resistance training. Great time to start, right? You're probably at your strongest in terms of there is a lot of muscle, there is a lot of strong bones. All that deterioration starts after 30. So 20 to 30 is great time to set habits, pick up on strength training, get your foundation solid, learn your basics, and enjoy all the cardio that you want to do. And it could be anything. It could be dancing, running, swimming, absolutely anything, right? Then 30 onwards, as we all have spoken about, you'll start dropping muscle, you'll start seeing some changes. Also, if you are getting into the phase of, say, okay, I may want to conceive and things like that, you want to train a little different and smart. Yes, it's still going to be adding a lot of strength training. Maybe 3 times a week is great, and good amount of conditioning and some plyometric work. But also start thinking, let me do a lot more of core training, let me do a lot more of pelvic floor strengthening, because then all that will make your conception, if you plan in your 30s, a lot more easier, right? It's just smartly training for that, right? Because I remember all the training that I did all of my 30s helped me in my conception at 40. I conceived late, that's a different story. But everything that you do early on is going to help you a decade later so much more.
Right.
So in your 30s, continue doing strength training, your conditioning, do a lot of mobility, but do a little bit more of your pelvic floor and core work and stuff. Also, cycle sync it a lot more in 30s, keeping in mind fertility and all of that, right? 40, game changer, right? Every woman will go through a dip after 40. Okay, every woman is going to see so much change in hormone, the stress hormones going all over the place, cortisol going all over the place. It is just a natural thing for a woman's body to go through, called the perimenopause, right? There is perimenopause, there is menopause, there is postmenopause. We will talk about it in a different episode.
Yeah.
But this is the onset of perimenopause. And each woman has it at slightly different years, anything between 40 to 50. Here, you will need to incorporate more strength training. because this is the phase where muscle, bone, everything gets hit rapidly.
Yes.
Right? So if you were training 3 times a week of strength or 2 times a week of strength in your 30s, make it 4 times a week of strength. Start working on slightly heavier load. Cycle sync, but start working on heavier load. You can reduce your cardio if you want. You can just make it twice a week of a good HIIT session, high intensity interval training, or as we call sprint interval training. Do more walking, right? It'll be great for clarity, like in your mind, because you're going through a lot from a hormonal fluctuation perspective. So add a lot of zone 2 walks, brisk walks, all that just makes you feel better, feel good, or just go do some dancing. Focus on a lot of mobility as well, because at a joint level, you need a lot of,
Yes.
taking care as well, right? But increase your strength training in your 40s. What I have also done is I've added like a little bit focused jump training or power training for my bone density, right? To improve my bone density, I've added like twice a week. So I would say, urge everyone to do that as well. Even if you do it at your 50s also, it's okay. This again is best done with a coach, with some help, because you don't want to again hurt yourself, because this is quite intense, right? And then 50 onwards, it's going to be focused a lot more on, it's actually not 50 onwards, 40 onwards also, but a lot of balance training, a lot of stability training, because falls will also start increasing as we age. So you want to understand, how to kind of work on unilateral stability, proprioception, where you can actually understand how your body, the movement pattern, single leg standing, eyes closed, simple stuff, right? But balance, stability training in after 40, after 50 can do wonders.
Yes.
Right? And then it should just continue. Like, you don't stop the strength training at any point. Even at 60 and 70, you need to continue strength training. But the balance and stability training, even if you add it post 45, 50, can do wonders. And that's what we do at my third space. We have a lot of older women that come, like women who are like 65, 70, 72. We focus mainly on strength and stability training. We do very little conditioning. We just tell them, go out for a walk, a brisk walk, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes outdoors. But when you're here, let's just focus on strength and stability. And we've seen some great results.
Understood. So what I understand is heavy lifting is going to be your best friend
Forever.
especially as you age.
Correct.
But there will be a lot of women in our country who've never lifted weights. And let's say they're 45 or 50, and now is the time that they start realizing that, lifting weights was important for me.
Yeah.
And it is important for me, not that, it's never too late, right?
Yeah.
We can say lift heavy weights, but for someone who's never done
Yeah.
weightlifting, how do they get to lifting heavy weights, and what does lifting heavy weight mean for them?
My only recommendation would honestly be to train with somebody, with a coach. Like, you either train with a personal coach, or you find yourself even a group class that you feel fully comfortable and confident training, even if you're doing it for the first time at 45 or 50. And I'll again give you the example of my own, my aunt. She started her strength training at age 60. That was she was an active person. She would swim and stuff like that, but she never strength trained, right? 60 is when she started, and she started in a group class I was around, but in a group class. And today she's 72, okay? And she lifts like a pro. But when she started body weight.
Yeah.
She started learning how to do her squats, and, like if you're deadlifting, then it is not directly with a barbell. You could be deadlifting just with a kettlebell, or, So the foundation and the start will make a big deal. So finding yourself the right coach, investing in yourself, spending that little extra amount to train with the right people at the right place will become very important. But I'm saying this because it's never too late to start. I know we're saying that 30, 40 is a great age to start strength training, or even sooner, phenomenal. But even if you're 50 or even if you're 60, it's still not late. My aunt has a great quality of life at 72. She lives alone, she does everything alone. She lifts, when I say heavy, I'm talking about she's front squatting 30, 35 kg.
The fact
You know?
that she's front squatting, that itself is a big deal.
Correct.
And 35 kgs at 72, I think it's pretty amazing.
Rishabh, she does a handstand, wall supported at 72.
Wow.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, it's really not about, don't worry about the volume right now. Don't worry about
Yes.
if you've never started. Even if you can do chair squats,
Correct.
like 20 reps at 60 at home,
Yes.
that is right there starting to strength train.
Exactly.
Right?
And for people who have never trained, let's say that at the age of 60, they realize that strength training is important.
Yeah.
And if they start training at 60, and they train consistently until 70, I can
Yeah.
guarantee that they will be more functional, they will be fitter, they'll have more muscle, and they will be
100%.
looking better at 70 than they were in their 50s.
Exactly.
And that is the power of strength training. So exercise, if someone's never started, I think like they should just start immediately.
I want to just mention that this morning I trained with 4 other people, okay? And all of them are in their late 20s.
Okay.
Okay? 27, 28, 30, and 31. Okay? Those are the 4 kids I trained with. Okay, this is not me being pompous or taking, but I do take pride in the fact that I finished the workout first. Okay, and I did more rounds than the other 4 kids.
Sure, I think
Okay?
that's your training age.
Exactly. That's what I was coming to, because you mentioned.
You've trained a lot for so many years.
Correct.
Religiously. You've probably never missed a day of workout unless you're injured or not allowed to work out post childbirth and things like that.
Correct.
But you've like always trained. You are a person who trains hard.
But I started late also, Rish, right? I started at 32 or something like that, 31, 32, 33. I mean, I've been dancing and playing a sport, but real training started very late. But I thought of this because you mentioned that even if you start training at 60, you'll see that at 70, you will have a better life than you had at 50 when you did not train. And I feel the same. I know the kids who are training today at 27, 30, right? When they're 40, they're going to feel stronger than they were at
100%.
Yeah.
Like if they continue the way they're training with you right now, in another 10 years, they're just going to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so some amazing piece of information, very insightful. I think there's a lot more to it, and we'll make a couple of cheat sheets available in the description. So make sure you all download it. Thank you very much, Shwe Shetty, for giving all these insights.
Yes.
Looking forward to many more discussions like this and creating a lot more education in this space.
Yeah, and looking forward to making the women of India stronger.
Can't agree more.